Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Tales with TR. I'm your host, Terry Ryan Jr. I'd like to thank Rob Butler for being on my program. My program? Is that what you would call it today? Podcast. Is a podcast a program? Either way, thanks, Rob. We had some great feedback, of course, during the World Series, of which the Jays are finally a part of for the first time in over a quarter century, and Rob was a member of the last team that won it. So, of course, we're going to get a little bit of feedback there. And thank you very much. It was what I'm noticing about this Jays run is that there's certain things that bring a country together. It's often sports can do that, right? Because you get everybody involved. Not always. It can be something like Terry Fox, which I guess technically is a sport. If you don't know who I'm talking about, when I say Terry Fox, if you're from Canada, you definitely know. If not, you might not. But a lot of people consider him one of the greatest Canadians of all time for good reason. Now, I'll leave that up to you guys. That's a quick Google search. If you're listening to me right now and you don't know who Terry Fox is, then check it out. Anyway, something like that can unite a country. Hopefully we don't get there, but, a war. Not that you want that, because there's usually casualties or a lot of negativity. I'm just thinking of things that unite a country, right? A cause, a common cause, a trade agreement, a non or tariff or a non-tariff, as we've seen. Maybe, someone, doesn't have to be American Idol or Canadian Idol or one of those, right? It can rally a nation or a province or a group or a state, whatever. And this, particularly in sports, I find it's one thing. Like, yeah, everybody knows us for hockey, but like we're so into hockey that there's sections of the country that cheer for different teams, and especially if you're from Newfoundland or depending on which section, I guess, which demographic you're part of. No matter where you are, there's a lot of options. But when it comes to the Jays or the Raptors, right? We only have one team in the NBA and we have one team in the MLB. I think there could be more, and there have been more. You want to see a good documentary? Check out the Netflix show on the Montreal Expos. Kind of got fucked over there. The fans in Montreal, I'm sure, would support, just like the fans in Quebec would support, in Quebec City would support an NHL team. But I'm going down a different road there. What I'm saying is that being that we only have one MLB team and one NBA team, whenever either of those, the Raptors or the Jays, are in the playoffs, or even, if there's a big game or one of the players is dynamic. I don't know, from Vince Carter back in the day, the Jays, there's a lot. You could go Bautista, bat flip, or Josh Donaldson, I think, played for the Jays, played third base. I think he was the MVP that year. One of the years he was here. So you can rally behind a player or a cause or a team or a run. But it's one thing when you only have one team in the country. It's easy to bring the country together, as in this Jays run right now. But it's another thing when they're kind of a blue collar. I know blue collar, Vladdy Guerrero getting $50 million a year. I mean, they're an underdog. The way they came about it, guys like Ernie Clement, for example, who's batting like Babe Ruth, or at least batting like Ted Williams there. And who is it? Lucas. Yeah, Lucas. What's his first name? I keep forgetting. Is it Brandon? Nathan Lukes, but it's Nathan Lucas, I believe. These guys, Davis Schneider, player. Now I know it's Davis he's actually a friend of mine in his second or third year now, but still, he made the major leagues after being a 30th round pick, I think, like totally against the odds. And they've got a few guys like that. And even Vladdy Guerrero, for a $50 million guy, you can tell he loves the game. And he earns, I know he had a little bit above average season, but for him, it was kind of average. But in the playoffs, he's really bringing it, right? He seems to love the game. Say what you want about the guy. He plays as many games as he possibly can in this era of sports. That's not always the case. They got a likable team. George Springer, right? Again, a big star. Yes, he was MVP of the World Series before. He's a champion. But these circumstances, he's 35 or 36, having one of his best years statistically ever, playing through injuries, right? Alejandro Kirk, people are, he's obviously bigger. He's one of the more plump athletes, heavy-set athletes there are in the four major sports, say, just if you were just to say that in North America. But, he's comfortable playing at that weight, and he plays well. Some people just know their bodies. I mean, you can't argue with any of his statistics. He's, I think, the first Mexican-born player to do something in the World Series. I think it was hit a home run or whatever. So he's and again, he's a little bit against the odds because of his physical stature. And when he came into the league, I don't think there was a big hype behind him, and a lot of people didn't think he'd succeed. But that's every second player on their team. Bo Bichette, again, a big star. No reason to go out and feel bad for little Bo, but just battled so much injury, and he's coming back. He's playing hurt. Guys like Connor Falefa, right, were picked up late in the year that, just spare parts. Max Scherzer, of course, right? You can't. These guys are dynamic. They're some of the biggest names in the game, but he's 41. Right, so there's an underdog there. It might be his last series. Shane Bieber, you get him, former Cy Young winner. You get him for a great deal, given that he just had Tommy John surgery. People thought, is he going to come back? Yeah, he came back. Now he's not the Bieber of old, but he's close on. They're doing it. They had an 18-inning game last night, which is the oldest in the World Series. I think the second longest playoff game ever. And, they're battling. They're down 2-1 against LA, who people had picked at the beginning of the year. I honestly think, I don't know what the odds were, the sports book and all that shit. But at the beginning of the season, I didn't hear Toronto being talked about as a World Series favorite, or even a lot of people didn't have them in the playoffs. Most, I would think, given their season last year. The Dodgers, every second person had them to win the pennant and win the World Series. So, for good reason. I won't have to get into it, but from Shohei Ohtani, who's arguably the best player ever, got on base 9 times last night, which is a record, to their pitching. There you go. Yamamoto, who one of the best in the game, from Freddie Freeman, who got the winning. I can go down. I can mention all the players, Mookie Betts, Mac Muncy. Just in this particular situation, the Jays, even though they're a great team and they've gotten themselves there and they won the American League, they're still an underdog, right? Can they do it? Of course. It's 2-1, and the last game was 18 innings. Anybody can fucking win. They'll throw everything at you. But I love that. They personify a lot of Canada. A lot of Canada can identify, man. Blue-collar, underdog, against the odds, and being proud to be Canadian. And if you ask all of them, what do they say? We're going to do it for the country. We're going to do it, George Springer, right? As American as it gets. And just has embraced Canada. And it's these sorts of things I often find. There's an underlying tone to any sports matchup now between Canada and the United States, right? It's the whole Donald Trump tariff thing, and Canadians got pissed off. And the other day, I think Trump saw that we ran a commercial quoting President Ronald Reagan in the 80s, and he said that we misrepresented him and all this shit. Anyway, without getting into the politics of it, really, without that, a lot of Canadians, without saying we were pissed off, we are pissed off, whatever. We're just proud to be Canadian. So the Four Nations Cup, I was at the Canada versus US. That was pretty wild. It was definitely brought the country together. It actually was a loving environment. It was either Canada or everybody had a Canadian jersey or a American jersey, but in the stands, we were all talking about the great game of hockey and how it unites us. I guess if you were looking from afar on TV and you saw the fights and you knew the political situation, the discourse of what was happening, then it probably would have seemed probably a little more tense, but it wasn't tense in the building. The fans were great. Anyway, same sort of thing. So whichever side of your fence on politically, I don't give a shit. I'm just saying it's a great time to unite Canada. And the Jays going on this run is phenomenal timing. And if you look and you see, follow your Instagram or your social media or whatever that might be, Facebook. Now, look at it before the game and you see all the flags, the Newfoundland flags in Alberta and BC, and they're interviewing people and they're from all over. So, a lot of people are flying in to watch. Like, a lot of Canada is really engaged in something positive. And these days, that is a fucking fantastic thing. It's something to be be happy about. The games are something to look forward to. As a Canadian, it's something we take great pride in anything that unifies the country like this. And that just so happens to be the Toronto Blue Jays. And what a process it's been. Good luck to the Jays the rest of the way, even if they lose fucking the next 3 or 2. I guess they're down 2-1. And hopefully they won't. All they got to do is get it back to Toronto. It's a great atmosphere, but it's been a phenomenal ride, and they deserve all the accolades and the flowers that they're getting, because a lot of people had them written off. And Robbie Butler, how about that? Thanks again, Rob Butler. What a guy, what a conversation, and an example of how it doesn't come easy. You see these people in their jerseys and they're superheroes. Listen to Rob's story, man. There's a lot going on mentally and physically that can hold you back. And, every once in a while, there's a success story like Rob Butler, who won from Toronto, the only Canadian to win a World Series with the Blue Jays. Thanks again, buddy. If you're downtown St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador, and you want to go to George Street, why not check out Trinity Pub, TJ's Pub, Rob Roy Confusion, the Martini Bar, Green Sleeves, and of course, Bull and Barrel. If you want to go for a bite to eat, check out the Loose Tie. Why not check out Blue on Water, and of course, Wedgwood Cafe, who also do catering. You want strength and balance for the body and mind, go to Ryan Power Conditioning on Rope Walk Lane. 2 locations right here in St. John's for Mr. Lube. One's on Torbay Road, one is on Camount Road. Live, laugh, lube. GS Construction, laying the groundwork for your community right out in Edmonton, Alberta. Right here in St. John's is Crown Cabinets, just because. Check out Crown Cabinets. Great deals, great cabinets. Crown Cabinets. Creative Closets and Doors, beauty spaces, beauty stories. Check that out. Creative Closets and Doors. True Hockey. Take what's yours. And of course, Loves Me Muggsy Jeans. Thank you very much for listening. I'll be back very soon. More Tales with TR. Thanks again to Rob Butler. See you guys shortly. Go Jays.